All right, so there's actually two different diagrams. I'm using Lucid Chart, but I have a free account. So um, it's limited to how many shapes I can put on it. So I actually have two. This is for the professional roles that we have, such as coach, recruiter, etc. And then there's one for non-professional. So if you look at the top left corner, there's two entry points into the profile. One is to create your sports profile, which is the entry point after someone signs up and we say, do you want to start creating your sports profile? You know, we'll first collect the mandatory info like zip code, date of birth, and then there'll be a question that says, do you want to start creating your profile? So that would be the entry point. Otherwise, there's going to be a menu item where someone will say, I want to edit my sports profile. If they edit their sports profile, they'll end up on that blue box, which is going to be a list of all the roles and the teams and everything that they've already entered, which they can add, edit, or delete from that point. The key starting point for this is the pink box, where we're going to ask the user for what role. Are they an athlete? Are they a fan? Are they a coach, a parent, etc.? And if you look at the outbound paths, you'll see the various roles. Like right here, it's coach, recruiter, league, and admin. At which point, for one, if you select one of those roles, we're going to ask you what sport, what level, and then depending on the various role, we'll have additional questions. Once they answer those additional questions, we'll ask them, do they have more sports or teams within that role? So for example, on a coach, I'm going to put in that I'm a baseball coach at the college level, put in the team name, the league, etc., that kind of data. And I might say, yes, I have more teams to do. So I'll say I'm a baseball coach for a little league team, a baseball coach for some other team. And then I might go back and I might say I'm a coach for a football team. And I'll loop through that until I have no more coaching data to put in, at which point I'd end up back at that blue box, which would have a list. If you think of it as a spreadsheet or a grid, it'll have a list of the various roles and teams that I've put in. So this is kind of what we're working on now. The questions get very lengthy, a lot of the detailed questions, and they aren't in here. It's really the high level data that we need to distinguish the role that someone is playing. The other PDF, I have this one. This is for a parent, an athlete, or a fan. And the most significant thing in these non-professional roles is, of course, the athlete is going to put in the sport, the team. They're going to answer additional questions for every sport and team that they play on. When you say that you are a parent, you're going to come through this flow here on the right side of this diagram. And you're going to basically go through a child can only really be one of two roles. A child can only be an athlete or a fan. They can't really be anything else. They're not old enough to have a job. They're not going to be an athletic director or a coach. They're not going to be a parent, et cetera, that kind of thing. So when a parent comes in, we're going to ask them their child's name, and we're going to ask them to invite or match the child's account if the child already has a UB Sports profile or account created. That'll trigger a separate process to either invite them, which will send an email, or it'll match up the UB Sports account for that child. But as you go through and then start answering the questions, such as what sport you play, what level of the sport are you at, what teams are you on, what we're doing is we're filling out a profile for that child. So in some cases, if the child is a UB Sports member and we match it, that profile will be linked not only to that child's profile, but also to the parent's profile via the child. So if the parent creates or edits a role for a child, the next time the child views their profile, they're going to see the same changes. So it's almost as if when the parent goes through this profile edit process, they will be kind of impersonating that child. If the child logs in and makes changes, ignoring whether or not the parent has to approve those changes, but if the child makes those changes, the next time the parent views the child's profile from their own account, they're going to see the changes that the child made. And most likely they'll have to approve them before they get made. So that's the flow of the profiles where we are. I want to show you some of the data points that we're working on in the attributes for the field. So let me load that. So what I'm steering our team through is, and right now, again, we're looking at the high level data points, which are in column A here. The role, the sport, the discipline, which is analogous to a sport for a fitness trainer, the level, the type of team it is, the team name or the school name or the organization name, the league division, etc. And I'm having our team define and confirm various attributes for these data points. So that blue box, or when I see that from the diagram, or when I say that I want to edit my profile, if we think of that page as a grid, it might look something like this example, where for every role or team that I add, I'm going to have a line item on that grid with this various data. So this would be an example of a profile for myself, that I'm an athlete for a bunch of different sports. In the sport of softball, I play on 5 different teams. I'm also a coach, a league administrator. I'm a fan of several different sports and teams. And I might also be a facility manager, and I might also be a parent of a child. So that's kind of what that edit profile page is going to look like. And each line item will have a button for you to edit or delete that particular item. And the page will have a button or a facility for you to say that you want to add a new role. So one of the attributes for all of these data points is which of these data points are visible in that profile list. Some of the data points aren't necessary to be displayed on that screen. We're only going to be displaying, obviously for space reasons, the ones that are necessary for the user to distinguish between them. The type of field entry that it is, whether the user will be selecting an option that we present to them, or whether it's a free-form text field, or whether it's simply a yes/no question. One of the things that we're working on now is, for some of these fields, we're going to be making decisions as to whether we should allow a custom value in that field. For example, we might have 10 sports in our database. And if somebody wants to sign up and say that they play a sport that we don't have in our database, we'll probably want to give them the ability to add a custom entry for that sport. And somehow there'll be a combination of an automated and a manual process so that the next subsequent users would be able to not only choose from just our list of 10 sports, but would also be able to choose from custom sport values that were entered by other users. And there's a couple fields like that: the league and the division, the facility or resource type, and the sport and the discipline. The rest of the columns here, there's a column for each role which identifies which data points are required, which data points are optional, and which are not applicable to a specific role. So for an athlete, the only data points that are required for them to enter will be the role in the sport and the level. So I'm an athlete for baseball and I play at the high school level, or I play at the professional level. The rest of the data points, such as the team name, the league they're in, those are going to be optional. And we have those attributes for each field identified for each role. So this is what we've been working on over the past week. We hope to have this done within the next week so that we can provide it to you. These are the primary data points. We still have to flush out the additional questions that we'll be asking once they complete these primary data points. But this should give you, at least for the time being, an idea of how we're trying to define our requirements for these profile elements. We've also started to identify for the various data points the values that we're going to want in the database when we start. These are the 11 roles. They match up to what's in the SRS. These are the sports. This is an incomplete list. We still have to flush out what sports we want to start with, the disciplines, the levels, leagues, facility types, resource types, etc. And then the last thing that's relevant here for you is there are going to be some relationships between the various data points. For example, if you look at level, we have 27 different levels that you could be at for a specific sport. But depending on the role that they play, for example, an athlete is only going to be able to select 13 of those 27 roles or levels. So there will be a relationship between these data points. You know, from a database perspective, you're going to have a table that contains all your roles. You're going to have a table that contains all your levels. And then you're going to have an intersection table that has two columns, the role and the levels that are available. So as you populate the front end with possible values, the values of the level field will be dependent upon what role was selected. So we're flushing out these relationships. You'll see for the roles and the levels, it's significantly long. Likewise, when I pick a level, that will have a specific relationship to the team type. It'll restrict the type of team that it can be. For example, if you say that you play at the professional level, the only option for the type of team you're on is going to be a professional team. It's not, you're not going to have an option to choose community team. And we will likely have a certain number of leagues pre-populated. And the leagues that are available for you to choose from are going to be dependent upon the sport and the level. So if I say that I play professional football, I'm only going to have professional football leagues show up as my choices. If I say that I play football at the college level, I'm going to only have college level leagues show up. So that's what we've been working on for the week. This is essential for you guys to really have an understanding of what we need and we want when it comes to the profile. And this should give you kind of at least the ability to think about and what you're going to be getting from us in the next week or so. So that's it for now. Greg's joined us. We can go back to our regularly scheduled topics. I hope that was helpful to you in giving you a quick advanced look at what we're doing related to the profiles.
Yeah, that's great, John. Thank you very much. Sorry I was late, guys. I had an investor meeting I had to take care of. Just wanted to, one thing with that gentleman is that the, when you say a level, for example, if you're a college basketball player, you might also play intramural baseball or intramural soccer or community table tennis or something. So we don't want to lock that person in when they say they're a professional or a college level player. You don't want to lock them into that level throughout all the sports. Obviously, you just want to lock them in for the sport they said they're playing at that highest level, and allow them also to have pickup games and that kind of stuff in that thing. But you have to give them the opportunities to choose those other levels. That's all, John. I thought you did a great job. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Very informative. So we don't have much for today's agenda. We will show you the mobile app of which made just some progress since 2 weeks ago, and we don't have anything waiting on you guys. We have all the information we have so far. So Milan, we can quickly start the demo, and if there's any other discussion that needs to be taken up, we can do that after the demo.
Yeah, sure. Give me a second. Yeah, so is my screen visible?
Yes.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah. So during last week, we were mostly working on the feed as well as some other changes related to events. I already have shown the calendar and all for the events, which you guys asked me to change. So we have already seen this, how things are actually working with the calendar events, the filters, all those things. So this is the place where we see all the data related to, I mean, this is kind of the feed. So any activity that happens, like if one of my friend updates anything, then it will be displayed over here, as well as anything, any activity happens in my group also, it will be also shown in the feed. So we have like multiple types kind of stuff. So as you can see, this is a bulletin in this group which has been added like 2 hours ago by a user called Anish, and this is a kind of an event, and we have a link also here, but that link got crashed, I guess. 1 second. We haven't, I think he hasn't given the proper link there. That's why it got crashed. 1 second. Oops. I think I'll have to hit the app and open one. Let me just give me a minute. Let me run it again. We have a lot of stale data as well as bad data going around in all the groups since the testing is been going on. You may see most of the, crashes related to that old data. Once we clear the DB and enter the new data, most of the stuff will work fine. But just give me a moment while I restart the app.
While Milan is doing that, one question for you guys. We have now the clear copies of the logos in our format. Which format do you needed that in? JPEG, PNG, TIFF, what works best for you guys?
Greg, it would be better if you can provide all the formats.
Okay.
Do you have the source file with you, Greg? Something like a Photoshop or an illustrated file?
If you have the XD file or something, then it will be better.
XD file, you said?
Yes.
Yeah, yes.
Sure.
Greg, the best things to give them would be whatever was used to create the logos, Photoshop or Illustrator, because then they can cut the images themselves. They can size them as they need them for the different devices and things like that. If you
I
give
got them
them
in like 4 different formats, so I can send them to you.
Yeah, but do you have like the original? Do you have the original artwork, like the Photoshop files?
I don't know what they said. Bear with me on that. I'll find out exactly what formats they said, because they sent them four or five of them. So let me check that out for you.
Yeah, I mean, here's what's going to happen, Greg. If they send you like JPEGs and PNGs and GIFs and different formats that are kind of static, the only thing that the team is going to be able to do is resize them. And as they resize them and stuff, you're going to lose resolution, and they're not going to be high quality. So the best thing is to give them the original artwork with that. And whoever did the logos for you, I mean, I'm assuming that they were paid, but regardless, like, we should own the original artwork.
Yeah,
not
we
just
do.
the
We have it in vector and EPS and everything. We do own it. It's right in front of me, actually.
Yeah, so if it's a Photoshop file, then it would be a PSD file. And
PSD or EPS.
Yeah.
Or a
Yeah,
high resolution
right
PDF will do. Or a high resolution PDF.
Yeah, or it can be a PDF, or the original Photoshop file will be a PSD file.
PSD
and
file.
if it's an XD file, I mean that if it's
EPS.
has been done using XD, then the extension would be XD. So you can ask your team to provide the original file so that we can actually make copies as well as render it to any format that we need.
I will. And if you need anything else that we don't have, I'll send them to you. But I have them in JPEG, in PDF, and EPS.
Okay, the PDF will do, I guess.
Milan, I think the EPS will do because it is also a source file.
Okay. So you can send all those files, and if we need anything, we can just take a look and let you know.
I'll send them to you as soon as we get done.
Yeah. So let me resume with the demo. You have seen a bulletin kind of stuff, and they have seen an event, and yeah, this is also a bulletin, and this is a personal update from a user called Dinu. There's a feature in current UB Sports website where we can update, share an update. So those kind of update happen here, and this is an image update, but the URL has been is not working, I'll show the another item with proper image. Yeah. So this is an image where which has been updated. So we have like slideshow options for and as you can see at the bottom you can see the captions, right? Uh, so as you can see while changing the captions also is changing. So yeah, so similar kind of stuffs, and now we have like videos also in the feed. Uh, so these are kind of stuffs that we were actually working on, feed generating the feed, all those kind of stuffs. So that's how things are going, and if I share it, uh, I hope it works. Yeah. So a new post came, right? So this is how feeds are being shown in the app, and events I have already shown. The blogs list, all those stuffs are being working, and we have most of the pagination stuffs are implemented. So the lists are actually uh, working with paginations. Actually, it loaded twice, but you didn't see because the loader came and went so fast. So and let's go to the group sections. Now we have a logic for displaying the trending groups based on the activity inside the group. Currently, we are only showing the groups which I am not a part of, like I am not a member of, but I guess it will, we should also show the groups which I am a member of also. So that part has been handled by Binu. He had created a logic to list the groups with most of the activity going on. So as you can see, those groups are being listed here. These all are my groups, either I own or I am a member of. So see, uh, I get multiple options based on if it's my group, if it's a group which I own, I'll get settings and all those stuffs. Uh, those things has to be have to be handled in a much more deeper level. And this is a dummy group for the UB Universe, currently UB Universe group. So this group has actually much data right now. So you can see this is a sample ambassador blog. It has videos as well as like photos, albums. So you saw all those stuffs here. So we have a slideshow button which you already saw in the feed. So also you can add and edit stuffs here in albums as well as uh, the bulletin. Okay. So and the invite, the members list, all the stuffs are shown in the top area. So these are the VIPs in the groups. These are the admins. And these are the members. So I think all are connected. So you can actually remove or make uh, people VIP or admin based on the option. We'll be showing the VIP or make admin option. If it's a VIP and or an admin, then it won't be shown. So likewise, and we have one second. We have inviting options over here. So invite, email, invite, pending list, all those stuffs are being there. I think I have already shown these stuffs earlier. We have been going through more iteration to make it work perfectly. Uh, the events section, and here are the tabs which we have in the groups. So currently, let me go to the section. I think there is no data here. I'll go to some other group and I'll show a group with data. I think this one has some data. Yeah, you can see, right? So here you can see your web page or the URL that you are given in the tabs. And for the skill centrals, it will be a video tab. So you can see the videos like playlists and all, manage or edit your playlist, all those kind of stuff can be done. But depending on the access level, you can do that. Okay, so the ambassador contains the curated list, all the stuff. As well as in the settings. Once we go to the settings, now here we have options to edit the group settings. I mean the group information, and yeah, all the stuffs can be edited or saved. All this kind of stuff can be done. Okay, and we can manage the subgroups. Actually, this option should be only available for the group type. I guess when it's a multi-user league, I mean multi-group league or something, then that should be visible. That has to be taken care of, and we can alter or manage the contents inside the subgroups. What all things should be visible inside the this group, or what all content should be fetched from the subgroup. So all those stuffs can be done, and we can add or remove things based on that. So I can add a subgroup as well as edit the comments or remove the comments. All the stuff can be done. Yeah, and this is a place where we manage the tabs in the groups. And here also we have options to make the contents private as well as to inherit data from the tab of another group. So all those stuffs are being there. I mean, there. And the latest addition was, uh, yeah, these are our kind of dummy pages right now because we haven't created the group for wellness portal as well as parents portal. So the profile section and all those stuffs have been I have already shown you. I'll recently we mostly worked on the feed as well as the S3 integrations. Sorry, we can go over here and change my photo, and we will get a crop option as well for the photo or the profile image or kind of stuff, albums. So I can now save, and yeah, it got uploaded. It's done, and the photo has been changed. See, the photo has been changed over here also. So, so the S3 upload, the feed, and right now, currently we are working on the push notifications for multiple stuffs or activity happens inside the app for events or bulletin when we have a new event or a bulletin or an update or something. Those kind of stuffs will be pushed and will be shown, and the badges also we have to work on. So that's the update from my side. So app is getting into shape right now. All the steps from the actual website is being mostly be done, and we are going through iterations for to like make it smooth even. So the fine tuning process
Starting to
is
look
being
really good.
Yeah, that's what it's getting to I mean look really good because the things are in place right now. Now we are kind of fine tuning and making changes at a granular level, so to have the best experience. So that's how things are being happening in our end. So I guess that's it from me now. The update.
Milind, are these all up on Figma?
Yes.
No, I mean, Greg, this is the actual app. Did you mean that the mockups are?
Yeah, the mock-ups of this stuff, are they on Figma or this is the actual app?
Actually, we have already in the first initial phase itself, we have already provided all the wireframes as well as designs in the Figma.
Right.
So all the stuffs are there in the Figma, and we have gone through and iterated much more inside the app because you might see changes. Figma or has static contents over here, but in the actual feed, so let me say an example. In the actual feed, you are seeing different kind of items, right? So in the Figma, you might only see an element with the picture. This stuff will be only shown in the Figma, like you can see this kind of cell basically in the Figma feed, but you have multiple kind of elements inside the feed right now, right? So Figma always show static elements because it's a design of higher level look of how you, I mean, see things. But in the, this is the actual app running in the simulator, so
That's
it's more
beautiful.
dynamic as well as, yeah. And we have changes also. These calendar stuffs all are not there in the Figma, I guess. So this has been added recently on the course. So
No, that's
so
really, really good. You guys did a good job.
yeah, so I'm planning to implement this in the group page also. So so that's it from my side. All those stuffs in the Figma are here, plus extra are here in the actual app.
Excellent.
Yeah, Greg and John, we have devised a logic for finding out the trending groups. After this meeting is over, I will send you the logic. Uh, we have derived a formula, and I will send you the formula so that you guys also can have a look at it, and we can fine tune it to make it a better one.
Okay, yeah, that'll be good.
Okay, so yeah, that's it from my side for now. And we are currently, I mean, like, we are working on the push notification as well as the bad stuff in the later phases. So that's it. So let me stop my screen share.
Yeah, John, that continuous integration script is also completed and it is working fine. I had shared you the script earlier. Did you get a time for review?
I did review it. Yeah, I don't have questions or anything at this point.
Okay,
I
I think
will start to want to be a little more in tune with what you're doing with that, with the continuous integration, that kind of stuff, a little bit in the future.
okay.
Once we kind of get going, I just don't have the time to focus in on those pieces of it right now, but I do review it when you send it over. I just don't have any questions at this point. Everything looks, fine at this point.
I think I need to add a few more commands to it because once the deployment is completed, I think we will have to implement the migration. Some a little bit of command also needs to be added to the continuous integration script that I will add in the future iterations.
Okay.
Then right now we are having two instances running. One is for the website and one is for the API and admin. In the case of a real staging or a production environment, we will have a single instance which will be having around a 4-core machine because with a single core tiny instance, it is not feasible to run multiple node instances. So that's why I choose two instances.
Yeah. I mean, I understand that. That's fine.
Because we don't have to spend extra amount for this development phase or this testing phase. We should not spend much money on it.
Right.
And Ajish, I just sent you the logos.
Yeah, I just got it.
You're
Thank
good.
you. So that's all we had from iLeaf side for today's meeting. And thank you, John, for the workflow and the roles descriptions. Other than that, I think the only one that's remaining is the recruitment app that we need to finalize on the functionalities so that we can freeze the SRS.
Yeah. I mean, I can tell you that the work that we're doing on this on the regular profile right now is really going to consume the majority of our time. Greg, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't see us being able to start really looking to finalize any kind of info on recruiting until we get through this first set of profile. I think I was able over the past week to convince our team here how extensive it is to come up with what it is we want to define it. It's more than just coming up with a list of questions. It's coming up with the relationships between the fields and things like that. So, just from my perspective, our team has quite a bit of work over the next week or so to polish that off, and we're just not going to be able to look at recruiting not to the level where we can provide you any real good answers to questions you have or finalizing the SRS or anything.
Yeah, I think that'll probably keep both our teams pretty busy for the next week or so.
Sure. So what's the timeline that you're looking at for us to start working on the recruitment app? I guess late April or early May. Am I
mid-April? But because as we get done with our side of the development, we can spend more time getting the coaches, and as we bring in more of the governing bodies from the different sports and the different schools, we'll be able to talk to more coaches and recruiters and start getting them more involved.
All right. Okay. So I will put that on the back burner for the time being until we finish all the other apps. Tim, this is for your information as well. Jibin, I guess you can continue the follow up on the recruitment app by mid-April.
Yep.
So that's all, gentlemen, for today.
Okay, there's two things I want to touch on to just get some input from you guys. The first is for the mobile apps, once they're ready to be tested, you're not going to take something that's undergoing test and really putting it through the app stores. So do you have like a server where you'll be able to provision, like under your Apple developer account, will you be able to give us a URL where we can actually access and install the app on the iPhone, for example,
Yes,
so that we can test?
John, I'll tell you about the process. So the things that we will need from your end for testing purpose, either we can do it like two ways. If you have an Apple account, or if you guys have an Apple account, then that would be great. But even if you don't have also, it will be fine. The only thing that we need is your UDID for the iPhones. So in which all devices you need to install and test, you can provide the UDID for the devices. So how to get the UDID? I'll just explain. Just connect your device and go to the Finder. The device will be shown in the left pane, and you can click on the device, and on the device, then you can see the device information. And there is a place where it shows the serial number. If you click on that, you will get the UDID, the serial number for that particular device. So you can just copy paste the UDIDs for the device and just give it to us, so that we will install, we will put those in our Apple developer account. And once that's done, we can take a build and we'll provide a link. It's called a diavi link. Okay, we will provide a link for the app. So you can just hit the link with from your mobile or any device, and you can then download the app. You can then install the app. It's not like you can install it on every iPhone, because only the iPhones which the UDID has been added to this project, only those devices can actually install this app. So the only thing that we require from your end will be the UDID of the devices which you need to install that. Am I clear?
Yep, totally understand. I just wanted to make sure that we kind of had a plan for how that's going to work. Greg, one of the things for you to be aware of is, you and I both have iPhones. We need to find someone who's going to be able to really dedicate themselves to testing the Android apps. Unless
Yeah.
the company wants to buy you an Android phone and me an Android phone so we can test them. That's not necessarily a cost-effective way to do it, but we need to find someone on our team that can dedicate themselves to testing the Android app. The second question I have is related to the existing live database that we have related to members and the member data that we have at this point in time. Have you guys started to look at a migration conversion plan to get the existing data into the new database?
I guess this was discussed earlier during the project, and I don't remember what the decision was, but I guess it's a manual process where you dump the old MySQL data and clean it up with whatever data needs to be ported over to the new database schema. And then I think we'll have to write a script or something that will read the old DB and put the data into the new one. Am I right, Binu? Or
Okay.
I'm just confirming from Binu.
Yeah, Ajish, it's right.
Yeah.
Okay, then we need to make sure that we plan to migrate a few accounts. For example, my account, Greg's account, so that we can see for ourselves what kind of change occurs to the user experience. In other words, if there's certain elements that don't transition to the new database for some reason, like certain photos or certain types of information, for whatever reason, we need to understand, we need to go through that so that we can see what the experience is, so that we can properly communicate it to our existing users that the site's going to be upgraded. You're going to notice this change. If the existing database, I don't even know how the passwords are stored in the existing database, whether they're stored in clear text, whether they're salted, etc. But one of the largest impacts would be if we can't retain their passwords and the users come back and have to reset their password. So, that's a pretty big impact that would affect every current member. So Greg and I need to go through that, whether it's a password, photos, blogs that I wrote, anything else. We need to understand what that experience, how that experience changes for the user before we ever cut over live. So we can prepare that some kind of communication to the members that this is coming down the road. So let's make sure that we have that planned within the time frame of testing.
Sure. So we can test that out on the QA environment as soon as our milestone 8 is complete. That should be 2 weeks from now, I guess. Let me just check that.
Ajish, do we have a list of milestones someplace?
Yeah, we do. I'll send you. Yeah, I'll share you the milestones. Milestone 8 is ending on 9th of April. So right after that, we can start all these integration testing and the migration testing, and that'll also benefit the dev team in writing in perfecting the migration script. if you guys are testing it on the QA environment. So
Sure.
that sounds like a great plan. Binu, we'll just keep this in mind after the
Yeah, sure, Rajesh. Noted.
so as part of the user testing.
Okay.
Right, and we have a QA person testing the app from this side. So Greg and John and the QA has an Android device using which he would test. So we will mitigate major issues. We'll catch the major issues before even they are deployed to for you to test. But then, yeah, it's good to have a round of testing from your side.
Yeah,
More
so we are actually doing a developer kind of testing right now. We have totally assigned a developer to test in their flows. Then afterwards, we'll be handing over it to the QA team for them to test for the rigorous testing. And afterwards only, we will be actually delivering the application. So we have like multiple layers of testing to be done at this, I mean, our side itself. Then later on, you can test with your own testing team.
I know your team tests other parameters rather than just the functionality and the UI. So yeah, I guess we have a good plan in place.
Excellent.
Yeah, thanks very much.
All right, we just did an hour of meeting, and if there's nothing more to discuss, we can hang up for the week and have a nice rest of the week.
Great. Thank you. You too. Sorry for being late today. I had some important stuff to take care of over here. You guys did a great job. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
thank you. Talk
Yes,
to you guys next
thank-
week, if not sooner.
Have
Discussion.
a great day.
Thank you.
Thanks, Greg. Bye.
Bye-bye, guys.